A large group of victims falling to the draconian lockdown measures of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, are college students. They are locked up on campus for long periods of time. What you see now is the nighttime schoolyard of the Communication University of China in Beijing. Students are crawling in a circle on the field in front of the university's library. It's a way for college students in Beijing to passively confront the high-pressure environment. Students from the Central Academy of Fine Arts, Tsinghua University, Beijing University of Posts and Telecommunications, and other universities also join the ranks of crawlers. Participants in such crawling activities must also produce nucleic acid certificates. The advocates of this crawling movement wrote, "You can wear a mask, don't communicate unless necessary. Insist on crawling every day to cultivate a good mental and physical state." The Communication University of China, which was closed earlier this year in September, is a trendsetter. The students here also issued a tutorial on how to make a paper dog out of a delivery box. The paper box pets then became popular in universities across China. Many students keep their paper dogs in their dormitories and meet up to walk them on the field. However, when these activities of crawling late night and raising paper dogs leaked on Chinese social media, university officials interrogated and warned the crawl group owners. Many students' paper dogs were confiscated, and the dog-raising behavior was criticized by the university. This phenomena has reminded many commentators of the June 4, 1989 student protests, lamenting that the spirit of the resistance has shrunk to the limit under the CCP's repressive rule. Even the most passionate young people only dared to resort to outlandish acts as passive resistance. In Zhengzhou, the largest assembler of Apple's iPhones, Foxconn Zhengzhou, a mass exodus of workers from the factory appears to have inspired college students in Zhengzhou. On November 8th, more than half of the students of a college with more than 30,000 enrolled students forcibly stormed out of the school. It's a non-government college. Sources said that on this day, several gates of this college have been closed except one. Students flocked to it en masse. Security couldn't stop them, and a large number of students managed to escape the campus as a result. After the students rushed out, the roads around the school were full of taxis and private cars picking up students. Students posted messages online saying they were all locked up in dorms where people who had tested negative and positive for the virus lived together. Sources also said that fleeing students revealed that upon arrival at Zhengzhou train station, all students from the school were detained and couldn't leave even with nucleic acid certificates. As a result, a large group of students decided to return to their hometowns on foot. Almost simultaneously, another university in Zhengzhou, its alumni association, published an open letter. It stated that nearly 30,000 students and faculty members were confined to the university, and that funds are tight and the shortage of supplies is becoming increasingly acute, and asked for support from all walks of life. The open letter was dated November 9th. Media in China has confirmed with the university's administration that the content of the open letter is true. Students are now taking online classes on campus, but the school lacks supply for epidemic preparedness as well as living necessities. For the government, there are about 700,000 college students in Zhengzhou, and any problems with this large group would greatly impact society. Here, we update the Foxconn case in Zhengzhou. In recent weeks, more than 20,000 employees have fled the world's largest iPhone production base, Foxconn's Zhengzhou plant, and many more workers have been locked inside the plant or in quarantine camps. As you can see, the dormitories have become a huge dumping ground for the luggage and belongings of those who have been quarantined and those who have escaped. From time to time, new items are thrown out of the dormitory buildings. Look at this. This is what Foxconn has done. People are still in quarantine. All their belongings are gone, including clothes, shoes, blankets, keys. Everything is gone.
Downstairs in my building, the excavators are coming. Truckloads and truckloads of stuff are removed. So do you think there is still a way to get your stuff back?
Production has been disrupted because of these strict anti-epidemic measures. Also, because of these disruptions, Apple has now reduced shipments of its high-end iPhone 14 models. According to Reuters, sources said Foxconn now plans to hire 53,000 workers at the Indian plant over the next 2 years, raising the plant's manpower to 70,000. The sources declined to be named because the discussions were private. Just last night, I received a phone call from our local HR department asking me if I wanted to return to work at Foxconn after my quarantine was over. I told him clearly that I would not return to work. He asked me 2 more times in a row, but I refused. After hanging up the phone, I was still confused. Why did you call me from your Human Resources department? This morning, I found a document on Douyin that local governments are helping Zhengzhou Foxconn recruit, and only then did I connect it with last night's phone call. Let me show you the content of the document. The content is for those Foxconn employees who have arrived home or haven't arrived home. Local government officials, including village officials, must contact them by phone at the first opportunity to get them back to work. I am curious and would like to ask, when we had a fever in the dormitory, when we had no food in the dormitory, why didn't you call? In China, the successive lockdowns have brought waves of people fleeing across the country. This is the Haizhu district of Guangzhou in southern China, which was under lockdown by November 11th. During the night before, residents fled in haste. Many more flocked to supermarkets to grab supplies. By the early morning of November 11th, all highways and overpasses leading to this area were blocked, and many people working outside were unable to return to their places of residence. Guangzhou City issued an official notification that 34,000 people in the Haizhu district have been taken to quarantine camps. Meanwhile, we see that overhead lights have been set up to prevent residents from escaping. Chinese media reports that Guangzhou, China's fourth largest city by GDP, has added more than 3,007 new cases, making it the country's new center of outbreak and the worst record for the city since the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. China has imposed a lockdown on the movement of Guangzhou's 5 million residents, and 85% of flights have been cancelled since November 10, 2022. Guangzhou officials have suspended public transportation and school activities, and the government has warned stores and factories not to operate illegally during the lockdown or face fines ranging from US $1,390 to US $13,000.
You can see that there's no more room here. Now we are all out for lunch boxes. Beds have been added to all the hallways here to increase the number of beds.
Young people, I am transporting you to a hotel far away to be quarantined. It doesn't matter where you go. Do you know where the residents in the Fenghua Zhuang were sent to? They were sent to Huadu District Women's Prison, and they were taken to a prison for quarantine. People will continue to be sent to the prison unless it's fully occupied. Now the people in the Wuhua market are being taken away for quarantine. How terrible it would be if they were sent there. People have never been in jail in their lives, and now they're going to live in a cell because of this goddamn epidemic. So, is this strict containment policy really working to curb the outbreak in the metropolis? More and more Chinese people are realizing that something has gone wrong here, including those working on the front lines of the epidemic prevention.
If this goes on, we healthcare workers really can't take it anymore. We're now physically tired every day, and that's just fine. Now we just can't take it psychologically anymore. We are on the brink of collapse, and you're now sending us to the door to do nucleic acid sampling. Do you know that we are all weeping on the way there? We saw a building where all of them were positive, and then they were asked to come out to do the nucleic acid test. And we all broke down on the spot, and we cried on the spot, you know? The lockdown control doesn't work. We're so tired, you know? Now too many people are positive. There is no way out. We don't know what to do next, and no one is trying to solve this thing. We can only let this thing continue to deteriorate. We're not saying we're tired or what. At least let us see a little hope, right? Right now, there's no hope at all. And if this goes on, more and more people will become positive.
From Wuhan in central China, Guangzhou and Fuzhou in the south, to Xinying in the northwest, after the 20th Communist Party Congress, officials around the country have doubled down on the containment and control in the name of the outbreak, to the great detriment of the economy and people's livelihood.
I haven't been out of Beijing for a few years now, and especially during the Chinese New Year. And when you want to leave Beijing, usually your company will tell you not to leave the city unless it's necessary. So basically now, I do not dare to leave if it's for leisure reasons. Even on October 1st this year for the National Day holiday, I didn't go anywhere. And many of my colleagues have not been back home for a few years too. I'm thinking about going back home, but with the recent outbreaks, people can't leave nor can return to Beijing. Many people are in this situation.
According to a recent report by Nomura Securities, as of October 24, 2022, 28 Chinese cities have implemented lockdowns of varying degrees, affecting more than 200 million people in the region and accounting for about US $3.55 trillion of China's GDP, which is equivalent to nearly a quarter of China's economic output in 2021. On November 8th, Goretech, a Chinese company located in Shandong province, announced that the company had recently received a notice from a major overseas customer to suspend the production of one of its smart acoustic finished products. There are mainly two foundries of Apple TWS Bluetooth wireless earphones in China, one of which is Goretech. This company ranks 176 on the list of the top 500 Chinese companies in 2022, and orders from Apple account for 42.49% of its revenue. The overseas major customer and products involved in this announcement are likely to refer to Apple and its new headset AirPods Pro 2, released in September this year. Over the past decade, the iPhone production chain has signified a golden age of engagement between the US, mainland China, and Taiwan. This era was first and foremost based on the premise of extremely cheap labor, a situation that the Red Chinese government has been more than happy to facilitate for a long time. Now, due to a combination of factors such as the outbreak, Chinese workers are now in a very insecure job situation. They are the first to bear the cost of a rapidly changing international environment. Goratech lost 3.3 billion RMB or US 470 million in orders from Apple. It has resulted in many temporary workers being out of work and an emergency layoff of 20,000 people. So if you need workers there, you can come to Shandong and grab them quickly. There are 20,000 people who need to be repositioned, and many companies in Shandong province have no orders this year.
This morning, we received an urgent notice that all the employees, nearly 20,000, of the company Goratech in Weifang, Shandong province have left because the orders were snatched away by another factory. Many employees have now started to pack their bags. It's heartbreaking to see this scene, but I don't know where all the people should go.
Xinjiang has been under strict control for 3 months, and there has been a very serious humanitarian disaster. Now, many workers in Xinjiang are walking out of the city on foot. The journey takes them through the no man's land, a vast expanse of Gobi Desert. Because traffic is usually restricted in a blockade-controlled area, coaches or trucks that violate the rules for carrying passengers face severe penalties. I'm going to walk back to Sichuan today. I've walked nearly 10 kilometers, and now I've come to the Gobi Desert. I brought with me over 200 buns. I plan to get back to Sichuan in a month. Hey, walking home? Take this, take it with you and eat it on the road. Do you want a pancake? Here you go. More and more workers from various provinces are joining the wave of hiking back to their hometowns. But where can people feel truly safe and stable in a country that is becoming more turbulent, where demands for stay-put silence is virtually everywhere?